Good afternoon, everybody. We are going to...
Yes, but you're over in your corner, so I'm staying in my corner.
Okay, just slide over a little more. Okay, we're going to begin our meeting this afternoon. We hope to not make this meeting last too long. I know some people have come for public speaking. We need to handle one item at the very beginning because all the board members are not going to be present for the entire meeting, and we need to discuss that, and then we will move on to the rest of the agenda. So if everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready to begin? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, now if we could please have a motion to adopt the agenda with the...
I move to adopt the agenda.
With one modification, which is to move up one item, which I'm going to find I-4.
So moved.
Okay. Second. Okay, please vote. Okay, so everybody understands we normally have the public testimony first. We're going to just, on non-agenda items, we're first going to take care of this one matter, and then we will proceed with the non-agenda.
I'd like to move item I-4.
Second.
Okay, move and second on I-4. If there are no comments, please vote.
We can't, it's not clear yet.
Ms. Jackson? Thank you. Okay. That passes 4-0. Okay, we'll now go to our non-agenda public testimony. We have quite a few people who have asked to speak, so I'm going to give you 2 minutes to speak. What will happen is you'll see a green light, and when the yellow light comes on, please try to wrap up your comments so that we don't have to stop you, and you can just kind of finish your sentence when the buzzer goes off after the 2 minutes. I'm going to call several people to come forward, and you can speak in any order as long as your name is called. Tanya Coronado, Eduardo Gomez, Itzel Martinez, Stephanie Jennings, Julio Garcia, and Carrie Fierro. It's 2 minutes, Josefina.
I just wanted to clarify
Please
that...
state your name first.
Tanya Coronado.
Okay.
That we're not going to talk about JROTC, but the Administrative Procedure 4945. Hello, my board members. My name is Tanya Coronado. I recently graduated from Mission Bay High School. I'm here to talk about Administrative Procedure 4945 on recruiting activities. In 2010, the board approved the Equal Access Policy that limits the visit of recruiters to 2 times per year. The policy also set some regulations and rules for recruiters to follow. With the policy not being enforced correctly, these are some incidents that occurred in Mission Bay during the 2000-2012 school year. In February, the Army brought its adventure truck to school. The truck had weapon simulators, which violates the policy, as well as recruiters talking to students. Later, some of us students asked to see the log, which the policy mandates must be kept for a year by the school. But it was denied to us by administration. This is just one incident that happened at Mission Bay. More might be happening at other schools. Because of this, it is important that the policy is properly enforced. Administrative Procedure 4945 does not fully reflect the policy already passed in 2010. The administrative procedure must be corrected in order to ensure that the policy is properly followed and our students are protected. Thank you.
Thank you. The president had to step out for... Wait a minute. We don't have a quorum. Can we hear public input? He had an emergency phone call. So...
Well, ask legal. I'm saying that, but... You know.
We can adjourn for a few minutes and wait for him to come back.
So much for my moment in glory here. Okay, we'll adjourn to the president returns. Thank you.
So you can...
Hold on till quorum, and then you can speak then. Thank you.
tried that. No. No.
Okay, I apologize for that delay.
We just had a member of the public testify on Administrative Procedure 4945. As you know, we can't take action, but I would ask that the superintendent bring back the entire policy to the board for further review. And I know some of the current board members weren't on the board when the policy was adopted, so we can update it and make sure any policy that we do have is followed or modified.
Okay. Other speakers that I called before?
Hello. Thank you for hearing me today. My name is Cari Fierro, and I'm the director of several outreach programs at work at UC San Diego. And I'm very pleased to be able to bring up my concerns with you here today. Our concerns particularly are, I represent outreach programs that work in these schools to specifically work with low-income first-generation students to make sure that they graduate and move on to college. So we definitely support the mission statement of San Diego Unified School District. I was recently awarded a $1 million grant over the next 5 years to work in San Diego Unified Schools, in particular schools such as Hoover and Lincoln and Mission Bay and Claremont and San Diego High. And I would like to continue my efforts in doing so. My concern is that the board policy, as stated, exempts me as a personnel who does college recruitment activities. However, the administrative procedures as written, the 4945 administrative procedures, does put restrictions on my work. And so, as a federal grant program, that deeply concerns me because I will not be allowed to do the work that I'm funded to do if I cannot reach out to these students and make contact with these students, or if district personnel cannot help me in my recruitment. So I just want to make sure that programs such as mine, Upward Bound, Talent Search, Gear Up, CAHSEE, that these programs are not affected by these administrative procedures, because the way that I read the administrative procedures, I am restricted in my contact with students, I am restricted in district personnel assisting me, and that does concern me very much.
Superintendent, I think you should look into that because right now we have all those programs on our campuses and they're not restricted.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I have your contact information, please, to the board officer?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Oh, we have it here? Okay, thank you. Okay, next person.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Julio Garcia, and I'm an incoming senior at Mission Bay. Project Gano and a couple of Mission Bay students sent the district a letter with our concerns with the administrative procedure your staff wrote on the military recruitment policy. The procedure was basically, the complete opposite of our policy. We asked for it to be corrected and handed out again to the schools, and it still hasn't been corrected or handed out to the schools. I will mention 3 major flaws in the procedure. First, the procedure states that college recruiting programs, such as like Upward Bound and TRIO, and other after-school programs would be limited to 2 visits per year, so they would be treated as military recruiters. And in the policy, these programs were exempt from the 2-visit limitation, so they shouldn't have any restrictions. And number 2, when military recruiters visit, they're supposed to sign in into a visitor's log to keep track of how many visits they go to the school. The procedure states that the log should only be kept for 1 school year, and instead of a whole year. So an Army recruiter can basically visit 2 times in the spring, and then the log would be destroyed, I guess, the end of the school year, and they could come back in the fall, which would make it 4 visits for a year. Flaw number 3 would be if a recruiter would violate the guidelines, instead of being banned for 12 months, they would be only banned for the rest of the school year. So like in flaw number 2, if they were to ban the guidelines in the spring, they would only be banned for a month or 2 instead of a whole year. So these are our concerns with the procedure, and we ask for the district to correct it and hand it out to the schools before this fall. Thank you.
Okay. Was there anybody else from your group I called?
There's two more of us.
Good afternoon. I'm actually speaking on a separate issue from the recruiting policy that was just spoken on. Anyway, good afternoon, Superintendent Calva and board members. My name is Stephanie Jennings, and I live at 2244 29th Street in San Diego, and I have a daughter attending San Diego High this fall. I am here following up on communication that our coalition, the Education.Arms Coalition, has had with the district over the past few years. And I've handed an outline of the data sets that we are going to be asking for today. Our reason for speaking is to get help from the board to resolve a problem concerning involuntary enrollment in JROTC of students that was first brought to your attention in 2007. And then in 2008, then Superintendent Greer attempted to address this issue when he wrote a district-wide memo telling principals to, quote, make sure that no student is placed in a military science class without first obtaining fully informed consent from the student and the parent or guardian of the student in accordance with California Ed Code 51750, end quote. So as you'll hear from another coalition partner tonight, students have been interviewed by us, and we find that students continue to be placed in JROTC in violation of the Ed Code. In some cases, we've heard that students are given consent forms after the semester begins, leaving them with the sometimes impossible task of finding a suitable PE or other elective class. Our student interviews have revealed that this often results in the student being told there is no room in another class. This is about to occur again as the new school year is fast approaching. In light of this, we ask the district to help us in assessing JROTC enrollment data so that we can better evaluate the extent of the problem with involuntary placement in JROTC. These statistics are needed for the public to know the current size of the program. So let me just ask for the three things real quickly. We are asking that you provide the number of JROTC instructors by school, the JROTC enrollment broken down by grade level at each school, including individual schools that are at education complexes, and the number of cadets who are taking JROTC for PE credit at each school, including, again, at education complexes.
Okay, thank you.
And then in 2012, October, we'll be needing the updated this year's data. So that's our goal in order for all of us to achieve our goals of being in compliance with the Ed Code and having an academic education.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next person.
Good afternoon. My name is Itza Martinez, and I am present today to speak as a member of the Education.Arms Coalition. Up to this point, I have interviewed sophomores at San Diego High School, specifically the Leeds campus. Apparently, they are automatically being placed in junior ROTC classes without first getting permission from the students or their parents. They were told it would count towards PE and were not asked in the first place if they wanted to take it. One of the students I actually interviewed tried to transfer out of it, and the student was told it was mandatory to take junior ROTC for a semester, which seems to violate the state education code, like we have mentioned, section 51750. The code states, no student shall be required to enroll in any course in military science and tactics. This problem of involuntary enrollment was brought to the attention of the school district by our coalition back in 2007. Turns out, we've continued to hear similar stories at schools besides Leeds. Since this has been a continuing problem, we are asking the school board to shed light on this issue by providing us with the statistics for JROTC enrollment as of the end of 2011-2012 school year. We are requesting these statistics to be broken down by each grade level and school, including the individual schools at education complexes and including the number of JROTC instructors by school. We are also requesting statistics on the number of students taking JROTC for PE credit, broken down by grade and school. We are respectfully requesting this information now, and later would also like to receive the same information for the new school year as of October the 1st. This information is also needed for the public to know the current size of the program and to get a better idea of the extent to which students are being automatically placed in military classes, especially incoming 9th graders who are required to take PE. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next people I'm going to call, you can come up and speak in any order. Michael Ann Carroll, Kia Neri, Nancy Barnes, Therese Hunt, and Michael Nuadomi. Okay, one person just kind of come on up and begin speaking, and then we'll continue with everybody else. 2 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Nancy Barnes. I'm a parent at Fletcher Elementary. I have a second grader and an incoming kindergartner. And we, the parents and staff of Fletcher Elementary, are asking that the district engage our community in a transparent and honest discussion concerning the improvement of our neighborhood school by converting it to a K-8 grade school. We have been actively pursuing this with the district for the last 7 years. We want a quality neighborhood school that serves all the needs of our neighborhood children. Fletcher has so much to offer our children. We are a safe, attractive neighborhood learning center that supports learning and interaction among our neighbors of all ages. We are a school within a park with green fields and open space aplenty to support the growth to K-8. We have excess classroom space that we would like to fill with neighborhood children. We would like to help fill it with our neighborhood middle school children. We have a nurturing family environment where we are all connected, parents to teachers and staff, and all the above to the surrounding neighbors. Middle school children need this kind of support during these challenging times. We would like to offer a safe school environment for our neighborhood middle school children as well. Data from San Diego Unified shows that K-8 schools are safer than their classic middle schools, especially with respect to violence and drugs. As a community, Fletcher has one goal in mind, which is to provide for all the children at our school. We would like to include our middle school-age neighborhood kids in this ideal setting. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kia Neri. I'm the PTA president for Fletcher Elementary, and I'm here to ask your support for converting Fletcher from a K-5 campus to a K-8 campus. Particularly the issue I think that we could benefit from is parent involvement. We're a very strong neighborhood school, and supporting us here tonight, we have parents who have children that have already passed on to middle school, parents who don't have children haven't even started yet at Fletcher, and parents who have fifth graders coming up soon and would like this to come to fruition before their kids hit the 6th grade. As it is, we are a neighborhood of working parents, and as it is, parent volunteers bend over backwards to get to Fletcher Elementary to volunteer. But what happens is, as they get closer to that 5th grade mark, we sort of lose our volunteers as they start researching middle school options for their kids. We lose a lot of volunteers because they will move or change or choice somewhere else. I think that if we go to K-8, we create an environment where parents arrive at Fletcher in kindergarten and know that they're home for the next 9 years, and we provide an opportunity for parents to dive in, volunteer, get involved in the community, and the distraction of worrying about where they go next is delayed a little bit, and we have a big solid relationship. Parent involvement, research shows that the middle school parent involvement always drops off at middle school, but when kids stay on the same campus that they were at elementary school, parents are more likely to stay involved through the middle school years. This helps everyone with, especially the children, when it comes to attendance issues, behavior issues, and academics. It creates a more nurturing environment. We all know that parents help make education move from good to great. We need to give our families a campus where they can settle in and make the most of Fletcher's already excellent academic program.
Thank you.
My name is Michael Ann Carroll, and I've been an upgrade teacher at Fletcher Elementary for 10 years. I just wanted to say a few words from a teacher's perspective regarding the Fletcher community's desire to convert to a K-8. First, as a teacher, I would love to have the opportunity for vertical alignment of the grade levels on campus and to team with teachers of those other grade levels. This would allow myself and my colleagues the opportunity to be sure that we prepare our 5th graders for the challenges of 6th grade and beyond. If we are able to hold discussions and enter into professional development with the future teachers of these students, the continuity of their education is upheld and it doesn't end in 5th grade and then begin all over again in 6th through 8. Not only would our K-8 conversion allow our students and ourselves the opportunities I just mentioned, but the staff would have the ability to ensure that the rigorous curriculum standards and expectations of Fletcher Elementary are upheld through the middle school years. Second, as our students leave Fletcher as 5th graders, they begin a very challenging social and academic adventure in a new and strange environment. Those students who have needed more support all along could be left behind, and then they just have to be discovered all over again by new teachers and administrators. Whereas if they were allowed the chance to continue on as 6th, 7th, and even 8th graders at Fletcher, we would have the opportunity to communicate face-to-face on the same campus with their new teachers. The opportunities to advocate for and even mentor those students that we have served for 6 years present themselves in this new K-8 scenario. If we are given the ability to begin the K-8 conversion process at Fletcher, our students would be allowed the option to face the growing academic challenges and pressures from peers that come with the middle school years in a friendly, familiar environment with staff members who truly know them and have their best interests at heart as both people and students. Thank you.
Thank you. And also Russell Von Dill and Chris Miller.
I believe you mentioned the name Michael Nawadamy. That's who I am.
Yes. Right.
I'm a parent, and I'll close for the group. I'm a parent of an incoming kindergartner and a current 2nd grader. I'm on the K-8 committee that Fletcher's been working on. I'm also a member of the Dads Club. And talking about community involvement, it is important that parents are active, and we have that at Fletcher, but at a 5th grade level, that ending is not beneficial to keep people that are highly invested to have just a short middle school experience. So we look forward. You see the parents here that are active and here to support the idea. They've been working towards it for 6 years. We'd like to meet with the student realignment team. We've been attending those meetings and talk about the details and the nuts and bolts of how it would work. But basically, we would prefer a phasing in year by year. And we've had previous area superintendents look at it, give us some blueprints. And as a community, we want to make our neighborhood school that is great right now even better, and we want to flourish and make a highly optimized school, get better market share, and work towards those 2020 vision goals that you guys have set out as a board. We appreciate your time tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, additional non-agenda speakers, Brianne Stoutenberg and Joe Bartlett.
Hello, I'm Joe Bartlett. I have 2 children at Fletcher Elementary. I'd wish to continue about this issue. As a school, we are called upon in the Vision 2020 to offer opportunities that increase the capacity of the community to meet our own needs. Access to the quality neighborhood middle school is too important, an area where our neighborhood and children are not adequately served. Our neighborhood needs its own middle school option in the form of K-8. We are geographically isolate. We are sandwiched between the 163 and the 805. No matter where we go to middle school, we need to drive all over San Diego. On one block alone, we have a neighborhood with kids attending 5 different middle schools. Converting Fletcher to a K-8 would allow our kids to continue to walk to school, and more importantly, allow them the continuity of the area, established friendships during these difficult years. Also, we need to continue to build our less than 300 student school by attracting our neighborhood kids back to Fletcher. There is no need for parents to choice out our family-friendly schools with API of 845 but they do. We lose neighborhood kids before they even attend Fletcher because parents already playing the choicing game due to our feeder schools. K-8 conversion will eliminate this obstacle. And finally, Vision 2020 calls for parents to play an integral role in school site governance. We have our school governance team is sponsored by 2 parent surveys on the topic of K-8 conversion. The result from both surveys showed parents support the K-8 above 80%. A result of the survey, classroom teachers showed 75% favor the conversion. The site governance has spoken. We want to pursue the K-8 program. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, that concludes our public non-agenda testimony. We will now move on to superintendent's report and administrative assignments.
Thank you, President Evans. There are no personnel assignments to announce tonight. And I have just 3 quick items. As I think the board and community staff are aware, many different activities, particularly at the campus levels, are in a vacation status right now. But I want to highlight 3 items. One, we continue to meet as a cabinet and area superintendent body once a month to do a strategic review of our processes for the coming school year. And I'm talking to the Quality School in Every Neighborhood, our framework with the 12 attributes that we've put together for implementing in the fall. We met on the 25th of July and are overhauling our process for managing in the fall with a steering group and some subcommittees, and I'll update the board after our August session on where we are with that. Second item, we had one of those rare midsummer meetings of all of the county superintendents, a session hosted by Dr. Randy Ward at the County Office of Education. And that's to get us focused on the fall with school opening in September, how to operate with a single voice, a unified voice among the 42 school districts of the county on a variety of issues, whether it's the achievement gap, it's the budget, any other significant items impacting K-12 public education. So it was a good first meeting. We will resume this discussion in September with the first of our monthly meetings, and I thought it was a good start. And the last thing I want to bring up is I had the opportunity to speak at a reception for San Diego State University's Summer Chinese American Education Leadership Institute last Monday. And this is a second gathering that the university's put on, connecting the county office, the Graduate School of Education, and a number of educators from the Chinese schools. And we met, had a very nice reception, exchanged some ideas, had a very good discussion. And this was a gathering outside of the couple of day seminar being held at San Diego State. So those are just a few of the summer happenings, and that's all I have tonight.
Okay, thank you. Does everybody want to pass on board information reports? Pass.
I want to recognize Ms. Jackson's summer haircut, though, and it's nice to know you have options, too.
Okay.
Very snazzy.
Big summer happening.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. On the superintendent's consent agenda, Ms. Virato, are there any public speakers on this?
Move the agenda.
Move the agenda. Is there a second? Second. Okay, please vote. Okay. The fastest superintendent's consent agenda of the year. We move on to student instructional matters, the charter petition regarding Vanguard Academy for Sports
I move
Career.
staff recommendation, which is to the United Charter.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Superintendent, and are there any public speakers on this item, Ms. Virato? No public speakers. Okay. In that case, we will simply vote on this item then for staff recommendation.
Right.
Okay. Motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Okay, please vote. Motion to authorize board member absence.
H1 and H2, can we combine those two together?
Yes, H1 and H2.
Move those two, please.
Okay, H1 and H2, please vote. Okay, it's 3-2. And just to make clear, on H2 was to reduce the board member compensation in line with all of the concessions of SDA and the other groups have taken. Okay, so that just.
Oh wait, I wanted to burn myself in effigy outside first, and then come.
It's already been voted on. Okay. Your salary has been decreased, and there's nothing you can do about it. Okay. Now we go to the Tiger teams. Mr. Barnett.
No report.
No report. Okay, and then we move on to progress reports on the board-identified focus areas. Dr. Meyer, if you would just, these are the ones we want to specifically focus on for this year.
Yes, and if I could get, please. What you have before you are the operational expectations for the academic goals, including 2.2, which states the superintendent will base instruction on academic standards, as well as 2.4, which states that the superintendent will measure student progress towards standards and assure students are monitored towards progress. And very briefly, we would like to state that our academic team has deemed both of these items in compliance. And we have just a few highlights that we would like to share that show some of the academic progress. And if there is any detailed questions as well after the presentation, certainly our team is available throughout the summer. First of all, you're going to look at both academic targets as they relate to academically specific goals, as well as some social emotional targets that we monitor and target for progress. Very briefly, what you can see, this is not a new diagram, but you can see that we recently, district-wide, are seeing an 84% graduation rate. And the way that this is computed, we have a goal of 90% by 2019, and then we basically walk back our distance between 86% and 90%, and we set targets accordingly. So you can see that that is one methodology that we use to set targets. Quite a bit of success. However, we are still closely monitoring the achievement gap, and you will see a little bit more about that later. And it is also very significant that while we have had progress, the achievement gap persists with our Hispanic, African American, students with disabilities, and English learners. And so that is something that we are focused on as part of our educational work.
Yes. On graduation rates, we had a target. We don't have the actual 11-12 yet?
We do not.
Okay.
Correct. They're a year behind. And so if you look at the A through G, we use a comparable target, and while we are approximately 20 percentage points higher than the state average at 48%, we are still below at 42%, excuse me. We still have set a goal for next year of 48% as we move towards A through G for all. And in 9th grade, our first class coming in next year, we will supply access and ensure success for those students towards A through G completion. It is
Sorry, I interrupt, but
no, I was trying to go fast.
Did we have goals, specific goals set, like on graduation rates for 9, 10, and 10, 11? And if you don't have them now, can we get to see what the goals were versus the actual?
Yes, and you can kind of see it. We're a year behind, so it's somewhat troubling to project the goal 2 years in advance. But you can see here that in 10-11, we've met 42.9%, and then we're going to wait halfway through the year to see if we met our 48% goal for next year. So it's a year behind.
Right, so we can go back, like for instance, on graduation rates, where in 2009-10, our goal, our actual, was this actual in 9-10, 80.9% in graduation rates, and then actual in 10, 11.
Yes.
So did we have goals in those years? And
We did, and I can certainly, I understand the question now. We can bring that information to you, and I can tell you that it would be 10%. You would take 10%, you'd be 10% away from 219, so it would be approximately 2% each year. But we can give you the specifics. But it would have been 82%, and we met it at 84. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Good, because that's the methodology we're going to use for a couple of other things. Okay, going through, similar with the A through G, except we're behind the curve as far as providing students with the classes, and we're moving towards as many as possible graduating. It is noteworthy, however, that the community college courses that are completed are not counted into this particular statistic, as well as our poli-sci courses, which are currently counted towards graduation. And so as a result, our number in A through G completion, we need to also look at the number that would include community college, because they do receive credit. So we're analyzing that data now to give a more accurate picture of how well we are doing in preparing students for college. So for example, if a student is at the Met and they are taking a course that counts for a high school diploma as well as a community college course, that is not necessarily counted, especially if it is above and beyond their graduation requirement. Moving forward, I've kind of lumped together the CSTs, and they are also a year behind. And the targets that we use in this case, what they do, for example, in the district English language arts, you can see that we have approximately 59%, approximately 60% who are proficient. So what you do to compute the target is you take the 40% that remains, and then you take 10% of that remainder. So there would be a 4% target growth. And we're doing that until we meet our goals of 100% proficient. So this is one of the targets that we use that is in line with the federal government. And it is also used when we're making targets for other tests that you'll see here very soon. Okay, so math is the same, and you can see that it is at 51%. It's approximately 9 percentage points lower. So that has been a focus of our academic team and continues to be so. And once again, you can also see the persistent achievement gap. And it continues to use the safe harbor methodology, where you're looking at a goal to close the gap, as well as to take 10% of the difference. Is this making sense, that computation? Sometimes the federal government's computations don't make sense. Okay, going forward with CAHSEE, this was very similar, and these are the students who are proficient. And so what you can see here, the district proficiency goal target, we reached 55%. And our district-wide, for the first-time 10th grade takers, is 86%. So we have a 31% gap between students who passed the high school exit exam with a score of 350 to those that are proficient and qualified and very much understand at 380. So the students who are between the 350 and 380 do pass the test, but they do struggle, and so that is an area that we focus on to ensure that all students are proficient. The same for mathematics, you can see here. It is significant that our CAHSEE mathematics score is only 1 percentage point lower than in math than it is in ELA. And one of the reasons that we have considered is that our students who are English language learners often do understand the numerical equations. And so it really points to us that we have a challenge with English learners. Although, if you look here at the English learner score, students who have not been redesignated, they still struggle with understanding the questions, understanding the lessons within the classroom, and really understanding the concepts when they do not have that mathematical literacy. And we even have a greater struggle with our students with disabilities. One significant thing to note with our CAHSEE scores, this was the only score where we started to see a closing of the achievement gap. And when we make our targets for the high school exit exam, we make our targets, and for others, we make our targets higher for our subgroups so we can close the achievement gap. Okay, going forward, the Scholastic Aptitude Test, that is one of our indicators, so we can find out if students are on track for college prepared. This is an entrance test, and we have had an effort across our high schools in the last few years to increase the participation in the PSAT as well as the SAT. And you can see what we have here, the 2009-10 participation, the 10-11, and then the 11-12 target. And once again, we're using a similar model to the graduation model, and it shows us here that we have some work to do, particularly with exposing our economically disadvantaged students to the test. In years past, we have had the ability to offer the test to pay for the PSAT, and that has helped us. But we are looking at here at the SAT, and you can see that the achievement gap persists, but we have had an increase in participation. As we look at the composite scores, the SAT changed a while back, so those of you who are parents have noticed that the score went from a 1500 to a 2400 with 3 sections instead of 2. And as a result, you can see here that what we have done is we are still operating under in 9-10 and 10-11, we're operating, and even with our target, we set the targets for the former method, and we are still working to adjust our system to incorporate the new higher score. You can see 1450 to 1470. Those were actually, I take that back. These are the targets for the new range, and so you can see that these are the composite scores, and these are the information that we received from the College Board. And the 90% goal would be 2160, and the 2400 would be at 100%. And so you can see our scores have increased slightly in this area, but we're still also looking at the adjustment with the new test, which includes more writing. Okay, AP participation rate. For the last 6 years, we have had an AP incentive grant that has helped us with some of our schools, particularly those with Title I funding, and that has helped us grow our AP program. And you can see here we have 9, 10, and 10, 11, 30%, and then 32% is the participation rate district-wide, and from approximately 3,300 high school students. That can give you an idea of what percentage are taking the AP tests. We also have students at particular schools who do not take the AP and instead take a community college course, which guarantees a college credit. So that sometimes it would give you a different picture. So that's another thing that if you added that in there, you would see that we have students who are participating in college courses in that way as well. And it is significant that every single one of our schools has some form of partnership and has access to a community college course. And we are analyzing the fact that some of our high schools do not have as broad an access as we would like. And the pass rate. One of the things that concerned people when we opened up access was that the concern that perhaps my pass rate might go down. And in fact, we saw very much the opposite. You can see that in 9, 10, 10, 11, and 11, 12, or at 11, 12, we're still waiting. We had the information in late July. But from 9, 10 to 10, 11, we went up district-wide approximately 8 percentage points. So as we increase the amount of students who are taking the test, we continue to see the pass rates go up. So that has been a wonderful statistic for us to look at as we analyze where students are having great success. And just a couple of points on the behavioral indicators. I know that you saw these a couple of weeks ago with other reports, but our attendance is something that we do monitor. We know that it is one of the 4 indicators that if we track can give us a greater idea from really kindergarten on up who is at risk of dropping out. And so we have had a great effort where we have rallied our principals. We have worked with Orbit through Daryl Lagasse's office, and we have monitored very closely attendance. And it has gone up from 95% to 96%. Our goals in this particular area have been 0.25, 0.33. We met our goal of 0.25 by, we met it significantly, but we're continuing to monitor it, and we've seen great success. And I believe 1 percentage point is approximately 6 million, or 3. I always like to say 6. 3 million. And so with every percentage point that we see with attendance, it's $3 million in ADA. But more significantly, we know that that has a great contribution to our graduation rate. Suspensions have been down as well. Students who have multiple suspensions have a higher likelihood of dropping out, especially those who receive suspensions for incidents that happen inside the classroom. Students who disrupt inside the classroom enough to get suspended are at greater risk of dropping out. Interestingly enough, those who are suspended outside of the classroom, it is not as direct a correlation. And you can certainly probably think of your own experience on why that might be, but we know that the suspensions have gone down. So when we keep students in class, they have a higher likelihood of success. And expulsions, very low. This is quite a change over the last 5 years, and I know the board has monitored extensively the expulsions, and through student services, through Joe Fulcher's office, we put a lot of interventions in place to stem the expulsion, to work on uniform discipline, and so we see the results right up here. And then as I mentioned, attendance, I think that does speak for itself. You can see the great growth, but we do still have an achievement gap in attendance. We can see certainly our students with disabilities have a higher rate of absence, and that is not surprising considering some have serious health concerns. But we do need to look at our students who are economically disadvantaged, students who are not coming to school, and find out why and get them back. Here's the target that we used, as mentioned before, 0.25 for the district, and others who are have an achievement gap to close, 0.30. This is an area where English learners, too, have had great success. So I just wanted to point out here, you can see that there is not an achievement gap between English learners and district-wide data on attendance. Okay, and I mentioned the suspension overall. Bars going down. Targets are showing decreases of 10%. And expulsion, you can see there, because it's so tight. And lastly, just how this aligns with all the work that we do, we found that we are in compliance with these particular targets. We also provided information regarding specific targets at schools and specific subgroup targets to the board, and we can make that available on the website as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Just very quickly,
yes.
couple things.
Okay.
If the staff can bring back the following items, it would be great. On page 5, which is our page about our A through G requirements, there were some courses that we approved earlier tonight that I wasn't approved met the A through G requirements, but we shouldn't be approving any courses that aren't A through G because it doesn't make sense if we're trying to close that gap.
Correct.
Okay. On page 7, I know that we're not meeting our goals in mathematics. We had a math task force that met. Recommendations set on the shelf for about a year, but could you provide to the board what we're doing now and what we're doing that's different? Okay, and then on page 16, as we know, there's a large amount of African American students that are being still suspended, and what are we doing to stem the tide there? They can come back to us at a different time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Okay, Mr. Burnett.
This is very helpful, but I think, and maybe this will be in the first quarter after we come back, it would really be helpful to be able in each category, if we had specific targets for a year, and I realize you have the notes at the bottom to know, what were the targets and did we meet them above or below? Because I'm still not clear on some of these, what the delta was between with the targets and also what are the targets for then 12, 13. So if we can have a better sense of that, that would be helpful.
And certainly we can also bring back more current data when it comes in late August and October.
Right, because the 12, 13 goals will be calculated from the 11, 12 results, right? Okay. We will move along on the agenda. We have OE 4.1, 4.6. Any comments on that? Is there anything else, Superintendent? No? On OE 5.1617, any others that we have here today? Okay, that was the main one we were going to do today. And I just was going to bring up when we discussed about the reduction in pay for board members that we also came to a tentative agreement with the Administrators Association. They are in the process, which is basically essentially the same set of concessions that we came to with the SDEA, and they're in a process of ratification from now until August 13th, and that will then be brought back to the board for review and ratification in the first meeting in September. So we're moving forward on that. Let's move on to item I3, which is board direction on the joint use field at Dana Middle School. Do we have any public speakers on this, Ms. Virato? Okay. And Mr. Barnett, did you want to comment on this first?
Just so you know that in the packet, in the brown folder, there is now a letter from the city, and there is a revised motion that I'm recommending, which slightly modifies what is being proposed by staff. The basic issue is we have a field that is currently in joint use between the district and the city. Mr. David Wells, who graduated Point Loma High and pitched for them, has been offering to donate the installation of a professional baseball field and maintenance, which would be done at his cost into the future. The one challenge and concern is to make sure that quality of field is respected by the users, and that would be both the school community, the broader youth community, and currently there are some adult leagues that use the field on occasion. And there are those who respect it and use it appropriately, and we've had evidence that there are those who've done damage to the existing field and maybe had some inappropriate activities, alcohol and so forth there as well. Part of the challenge of the joint use, it's on our property and the city's responsible for those maintenance and those issues. So the revised direction is recommended motion is to direct staff to work with Mr. Wells to allow construction and permanent maintenance of professional quality baseball field, and that we work with the city to modify the joint use agreement to ensure the upgraded facility is used appropriately and protected from users who would damage the facility. And that's something to work out between legal, between Park and Rec, between our staff, and there's a lot of options. You could reduce the joint use agreement, you can cancel it, you can change it, and there's legal and Public Civic Act issues as well. But the bottom line is we want to, and with the community, the baseball, Little League, youth, and other community. So the bottom line is we want to find a way to have this improvement that will support the community, but making sure that it's protected as an asset as well. And that's the general motion that I would recommend as opposed to the specific staff recommendation.
Okay, so we have a motion to direct the staff to work with Mr. Wells and the city on the items that you mentioned. Is there a second, Ms. Jackson?
Just very quickly, liability. Even though I understand from the reading that this gentleman is going to pay for everything, are we still liable for people that may get hurt on the field?
Well, we own the facility, and obviously those issues and who's responsible would have to be part of the whole.
That's still part of what is going to be worked out.
That would be an issue.
I just want to make sure that's part of what's being worked out.
Yes, that's correct. And I would add that currently as a joint use field, we have those arrangements in place. It wouldn't expand our liability beyond what we have now.
Okay, second motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We now have some public speakers on this item. Michael Patton, Jeff Marston, and Robert Everett. Go ahead and just come on up and take a turn to speak here.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I'm Michael Patton. I'm here on behalf of Councilmember Kevin Faulkner. First, I'd like to thank Mr. Barnett for docketing today's item, and I'll be very brief. Councilmember Faulkner is strong support of this proposed enhancement to Dana Middle School ballpark. Should the board decide to send a request to amend the joint use or work with the city, in agreement with Council Faulkner, looks forward to working with the San Diego Unified and Mr. Wells to move this amendment through the city. With that being said, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, President Evans, members of the board. I'm Jeff Marston, and I'm here this evening representing San Diego Adult Baseball League, and specifically our president, Mike McKaylee, who is out of the country. I'm a resident of Point Loma, and I've been a member of the league for now 26 years, and was involved 25 years ago. As you all know, the Dana then Junior High School property was going to be put on the surplus property list, sold to a developer, raised and turned into condos. The community sort of went nuts and basically said, no, the fact that people are now older and moving on, families will come back, children will come back, and of course they were right. And so I was served as a staff member to the task force with then Councilwoman McCall, Councilmember Mike Gotch, Susan Davis, board member, and I can't recall the fourth member. It may have been Mr. Filner. I don't recall. My apologies for that. But what came out of that proceeding was the joint use plan for Dana and actually for other facilities as well. So I've always taken a bit of pride and nostalgia when I play at Dana on our league. So it was perhaps no surprise then that when I saw the original proposal, which was the recommendation, which was to ban adult leagues, I was a little taken aback by that. However, we approve and support Vice President Barnett's proposal, and we look forward to working with the district, the city. Certainly applaud Mr. Wells for his commitment in this matter to reach a resolution to this, because to people who play this game seriously, who are adults, there is nothing more important than the integrity of the field. And so when we take a look at keeping that field clean, keeping that field pristine, we certainly support that and we'll do everything we can to back that up. And so President Evans and board members, Mr. Barnett, thank you for adjusting it a little bit to continue the conversation. We look very much forward to working with you. Thank you.
Now, Mr. Marston, how did your team do in the league this year?
We are of the 45 and over adult wood bat, and we are the now defending champions.
Wow, congratulations.
There you go.
I'm not sure how we got there, but we're defending champions. Thank you, Mr.
How many teams are there?
Yeah, statistics.
I'll do my best to get this through here. My name is Robert Everett. I am a Point Loma alumni, former assistant coach at Point Loma High School, former player, 72, and I'm here for all the adults that played baseball. They're both men and women that play baseball in this league. I've taken care of this field for 10 years, and I take personal pride in everything I do to make that field as best as it can be. I have all my own equipment as far as drags, rakes, all that stuff. I play the game in the morning on the Sunday. I go back in the afternoon when the second game is over and make sure that field is in as good a shape as it was, if not better, than before I got there. The reason this all took place was roughly 10 or 12 years ago. There was an issue with the maintenance where the field was never taken care of by the adult league before that, because the kids would have to come in on Monday for practice and do that, spend an hour putting the field together. And I took it upon myself to volunteer that so that they didn't have to do that and spend more time on the field. I've dedicated a lot of time and effort to that field. I got the golf cart that they have currently that takes care of the field. Before that, they had to drag that field by hand. I've done a temporary locker room in the Dana building in there so they can go change clothes instead of changing clothes in the parking lot. I've had electricians from our league do wiring. I've had guys from my league that frame a new roof on there and do all kinds of stuff. And I do as much as I can for that program. The bottom line is we love playing baseball there. I'm a catcher. I'm 58 years old. I catch 9 innings every Sunday, and I live to play baseball. I've been playing baseball for over 50 years, and I still want to keep playing. And I love playing in Dana. I love playing in the field there. It's like my home field, and I put as much effort into it as I was gardening in my own yard. So, in my opinion, the people that want to privatize this, they seem like they want to take all that stuff away from people who should, have the ability to use it. And they try to tell you that it's a maintenance issue. Well, the maintenance issue is really fairly simple. They're on the field for 6 days a week, 4 hours a day. We're on it 1 day a week for 5 to 6 hours a week. That should be enough. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm glad that we're having another opportunity to work on a joint use agreement with the community. Please vote on this item to give direction to the staff to move forward on this. Okay, and that passes 3-0. And I'm going to the next page. I have no more items on the agenda. Is there any non-agenda public testimony? In that case, we will
Can we find something that we can
world record to adjourn this meeting at 6 o'clock. The last meeting until September 2012. Yes.
That was good. I said 6 o'clock 3 minutes ago.